The ministries of Kuwait continued preparations for the 2023 elections for all constituencies, as this day is of great importance to citizens because it is the day of democracy and where the citizens' right to vote in order to success of the electoral process on this democratic day. The Kuwait Red Crescent Society represents a major role in the electoral process over the years, through its continuous participation and preparation to provide the best services to citizens on this day. Where 200 persons volunteer to provide assistance to the elderly by providing a wheelchair to transport them in case of necessity, and help people with special needs, also providing first aid if needed. The Kuwait Red Crescent Society is participating in organizing of the upcoming Elections Day with volunteers to provide assistance to voters throughout the election day.
Kuwait Red Crescent has established in 1966, and since then we have helped over 100 countries around the world. And all these countries, of course, some of them have floods, some of them have dryness, some of them have earthquake, and some of them is affected by war. Since then, of course, Kuwait Red Crescent is going through the world and helping these countries by our volunteers who go to these countries and handed by their hands the things. It's either food or medicine or tents or whatever the country needs. Inside Kuwait, we have around 5,000 families that we give a hand for food, medicine, and also we help their kids to in the schools. We pay for the schools for the countries who cannot pay for their schools. Also, we have a big health center that give medicine to anybody who needs that. And of course, we have around 1,500 volunteers between men and women. And these volunteers are working inside Kuwait and outside Kuwait. Lately, we will be working in the elections, which will be held by June 6th. We have around 100 volunteers, ladies and men, and these volunteers will be staying in the schools from 7 in the morning until 8, and they will be helping old people. They have wheelchairs. They know about first aid. They can help. And in these elections, of course, they will be giving, for the old people who are there, it's either water or medicine or wheelchairs, or they help them from going inside the election and outside the elections. We've been doing this every election in Kuwait, and this is by believing the democracy in Kuwait. We ask people to go and elect on this day, to go and elect, to bring the democracy in Kuwait, and to bring good people to help us and all help country to work out. Of course, Kuwait is known as a humanitarian country, and by doing this inside Kuwait and outside Kuwait, by our volunteers, we have won as the best country in humanitarian and in helping other countries. According to our volunteers, as we said, they will be there staying in the schools from the morning until 8 in the night when they close the doors. Anybody or any citizen like help, they will be there. We have an ambulance there, and of course we have water and food, and they'll be helping everybody who's there. Of course, we ask also the citizens to help each other to continue this day and to success on this day. Our volunteers is doing all this thing. Every year they are doing this thing, but this year maybe mostly that we will have ambulances, and by cooperating with the Ministry of Health. And of course, we ask people to participate in this to get more votes in the election. And this day, we ask citizens who are going there to help each other, and anything they need, of course, they can contact us. Our volunteers, they have also wheelchairs and They are there around the world. I mean, around the hour, and all citizens in Kuwait. And of course, democracy, as you know, on this day will be a very important day for Kuwait. And we ask everybody to come and participate in it. It will take only maybe 10 minutes to vote and go back. And when we see the results, of course, this is what Kuwait as known for as a democracy country. And we ask everybody to go there and everybody to help each other and not to push or to make, to push each other, because there is a long time from 8 to 8. And we wish success, of course, for the people who will win. And of course, we want, as a Red Crescent, to be there for any help that we can do by our volunteers. Also, this is a word I want to say. Anybody who wants to participate in Kuwait Red Crescent, all he have to do is to bring a picture, and he can sign, and will be one of our volunteers, and he will work with us either inside Kuwait or outside Kuwait by helping other countries.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back. I'm Ahmed Al-Wasmi. With me here, Ms. Basma Al-Awadi. Pleasure, as usual, to be with you.
My pleasure.
We'd like to update you. This is the fourth one of the day. Today is Tuesday, the 6th of June, 2023, for the parliamentary elections of Kuwait for its 17th legislative term of the National Assembly. In this section of the program, we will focus on the economical and the aspects of the aspiration from the future members of the parliament. I'm accompanied, as I mentioned earlier, with Basma Al-Awadi. She is going to tell you exactly what you need to know and grade process of the democracy.
Yes, as you mentioned, Ahmed, we will be from 9 to 10 covering the 2023 parliamentary elections, where we will show a number of reports, going live with our correspondents around the state of Kuwait, and have a distinguished guest right here in the studio. We are here in the studio of Kuwait TV Channel 2 from the Ministry of Information to provide you with the latest news and updates for this important event. As well as you know, every 4 years in Kuwait, the citizens exercise their democratic rights to select their representatives in the National Assembly to shape the future of the country. And this democratic exercise, Kuwait is divided into 5 constituencies. Each constituency is required to put forward 10 candidates who need to earn the trust of the voters enough to form the 50 members of the National Assembly of the state of Kuwait. Before we go on with our live updates, let's take a quick break and come back with you with our correspondents across the country.
for the 17th legislative term scheduled for today are the 8th elections within the 5 constituency system, considering the elections that took place in the nullified councils the 1st February 2012, the 2nd December 2012, and the 3rd September 2022. The 5 constituency system began in Kuwait in the elections of the 12th legislative term Majlis 2008, provided that the voter has the right to cast 4 votes starting from the 2nd annulled council in December 2012 until now. Since the beginning of the parliamentary life in Kuwait, the parliamentary elections witnessed 3 systems for dividing electoral district in different stages, and 5 parliamentary elections were held according to the 10 constituency system, including the Constituent Assembly, compared to 7 elections according to the 25 constituency system. The voting system for the voter varied over the course of the parliamentary elections between 5 votes, 4 votes, and 2 votes to 1 vote. The history of dividing Kuwait into electoral districts dates back to 1961 through 20 electoral districts. The law was amended before the Constituent Assembly elections were held and Kuwait was divided into 10 districts. Elections were held according to this division in 4 legislative chapters, in addition to the Constituent Assembly, where the voter was given the right to vote for 5 candidates. Since 1981, after the return of the parliamentary life, Kuwait was divided into 25 constituencies, and the National Assembly elections were held according to this division in 7 legislative chapters until the 2006 Parliament, and the voter was given the right to vote for 2 candidates. As of the year 2008 council elections, Kuwait was divided into 5 constituencies, and this division is still in progress, on the basis of which elections were conducted for 7 legislative terms, with a different voting system for each candidate. In the 2008 and 2009 elections, the voter was given the right to vote for 4 candidates, and starting with the 2012 elections, the 2nd nullified council, passing through the 2013, 2016, 2020, and 2022 3rd nullified elections and up to the current elections. Voters vote for only 1 candidate. Additionally, inquiries about the electoral registration and the polling stations through Sahel app, where the Ministry of Interior announced the addition and activation of the service for inquiring about the electoral registration, the polling station, and voting on the Sahel application, in addition to the Ministry's website. The General Department of Relations and Security Media, the Ministry of Interior, stated that the Human Resources and Technical Support sector, in coordination with the General Department of Legal Affairs, the Election Affairs Department, have added such service, which comes as part of the efforts of the security establishment to make it easier for citizens.
Welcome back. Let me tell you, to enrich our update with related data and information about the vital role of women in the state of Kuwait and the democratic life. And we have with us right here in the studio Dr. Nasser Al-Hadri, political and economic expert. Dr. Al-Hadri, pleasure to have you right here in Nano Studio.
It's my pleasure to be here today on this special day. Thank you for the invitation.
Dr. Nasser, the economic files are important for both the legislative and the executive authorities. From your reading, what are the most prominent files for the state of Kuwait?
Okay. First of all, I would like to thank you for this invitation. Number 2, I would like also to congratulate all the Kuwaitis for this special day, and the number of people voted today was really excellent as far as I know. There are a lot of legislation required from the next parliament, which I think most of the Kuwaitis are waiting for. Like, for example, one of them is the strategic alternative. That's number one. Number two is the retirees' welfare. And number three, which is most important from my point of view, is the diversity of income. As you already know, that Kuwait is depending on the income of oil. And now, as the world is moving to another source of energy, I think at this stage we have to think and we have to look at different sources of incomes for the state of Kuwait. Either technology, industry, agriculture, you name it, different areas. But for the next parliament, I think there are a lot of legislatives waiting for them to be approved and implemented in the near future.
Strengthening the economy in the state of Kuwait, it takes a lot of factors. You mentioned that you have to have more diversity, more income of sources and stuff like that. We would like from you, as your expertise, to elaborate on that. Specifically, we'd love to have the sustainability of the situation. How can you manage that?
First of all, in order to diverse the source of income, you need to have a good legislations where you can attract the foreigners to invest in your country. That's number one. Number two, the infrastructure of the country has to be improved. And also, the legislations need to be attractive for the foreigners to put their money inside the country. Taxation is one of them.
Taxation.
Taxation is one of them.
We have to, but nobody loves that.
Yes, you are right, but we have to match what other countries are doing at the moment. And as I said, there are certain legislations that needs to be implemented in order for us to have this diversity of income. You cannot be depending on oil for the rest of your life. That's no way. 95% of the income of Kuwait is coming from oil. This is not the right thing to do. But again, as I said, a lot of legislations needs to be implemented. Taxation, one of them. Also the infrastructure of the country itself. Ports, roads, taxation, a lot of other things that needs to be also implemented. One of the things that I always say, that there are companies which they have more income than countries. Like I give you one example, Apple. This is one of the
Tesla.
Yeah, Tesla. They have an income more than
Amazon, a lot more.
Amazon, Toyota. You know, Walmart market in the United States. The income of Walmart is even more than the income of one of the South American countries. Can you imagine? So, and this has nothing to do with the oil. So we have to think of other alternatives where we can implement it in Kuwait, and this cannot happen unless we change our legislation to be attractive for others and implement it here in Kuwait.
Could you elaborate on the importance also of the file of the society welfare and its sustainability?
Yes. One of the things that's been a talk for the last couple of years is the retirees welfare. That's number one. And number two is the strategic alternative, where the government wanted to raise the salary of those people with a less than 1,000 KD a month, and also make an equality between the same designations in every ministry. That's one of the major things that will be implemented in the next parliament. And also, all the people are looking forward to see what can be done on this file in the next parliament. My point of view on this one, I think in order for us to sustain the status of life, the luxury, and also the wealth of the country, and also for the human being, you know, as you already know, there is a high inflation, prices of products are increasing, and people need to have a modified salary at this stage. So I think this is one of the challenges that the next parliament and also the government need to fix as soon as they start assembled in the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
Dr. Hadri, stick around. We have a lot more to discuss, but we have a report. And then right after that, we will meet with Mesmar Awadi. Stick around.
The year 1938 witnessed significant democratic development when voters elected the Consultative Shura Council, when drafted the country's status for the Emirate and which later became Kuwait Constitution. With the dawn of independence in 1961, a new phase of the democratic practice began in Kuwait, when Law No. 1 was issued, which provided for the establishment of a constitutional council and direct and free elections. The first election experience in this small community began with the establishment of the Municipal Council in 1930. At that time, Kuwaitis were seeking to set up bases and measures for developing and serving their country. Kuwaitis chose through a limited election a council comprising of 11 members, one permanent president and a director. After the municipality elections, there were other elections of the Education, Health and Endorsement departments in 1936. These had great effect on increasing awareness of the principle of constitution and participation in the organization of the state's affairs through its institutions. The duties of the municipality developed and its specializations became diversified, as such duties were as simple as the Kuwaiti society at that time. The democratic process then began its march in Kuwait when its birth was officially declared by the election of the National Assembly in 1963 because of the first parliamentary elections in the history of modern Kuwait. Additionally, the National Assembly carried out its mission in success and became the democratic tool which enabled the population to express themselves freely and make part in a decision-making process.
We're back and we'll be now in the first constituency with Farid Deshti. Good evening, Farid.
Good evening, Basma. How you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you.
I would like to say hi to Ahmed Wasmi and, to all the staff in the studio there and the Kuwait TV and the Information Ministry. Thank you for the
Thank you, and we're happy you're with us tonight. Farid, please tell me about the turnout and the latest updates from the first constituency.
Actually, I could, really say it's in front of my eyes in the first constituency in Al-Shaiji Elementary School, and one of the main committees in the first constituency with the judge, the consultant Al-Athman, and also I see them are casting the ballots now, and I can tell that they are, they started counting and casting the ballots. Definitely. Nobody can go inside, but the people who are related. Officially on behalf of the candidates. Definitely, the whole process. Honestly, I just want to say great thanks to the governmental bodies who are responsible, for this, National Assembly election day in Kuwait 2023. Precisely, I want to, really say, Basma, because I can see their faces and their eyes, how they are really tired. Those foot soldiers the officers, the police personnel, the Interior Ministry, all of them, and also on top of that, Fire Force, the Kuwaiti Red Crescent, the volunteers, the ambulance, the paramedics, all of them, and even the judges. Believe it or not, I see prosecutors, female prosecutors, really tired. You can tell by their eyes, but still, they are really doing a great job. And there was no difficulties, no obstacles whatsoever. And I think the percentage of the voting today in the first constituency went to up to 50%. I believe this is what I
Well, thank you so much, Farid. Thank you for the elaboration.
You're welcome.
And we'll take a quick break now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
We're back and we're moving to the second constituency. Abdullah Al-Ajmi with us live there. Good evening, Abdullah.
Hello, good evening. Good evening, Basma.
Abdullah, please give me the latest updates from your constituency.
Yes, we are currently at Al Ahmadiyya School in Mansouriya area in the second constituency. Currently, all doors for voting are closed alongside polling stations for the preparation for counting the ballots. Each main committee at schools will now count ballots that they will be moved later to the main committee by the Ministry of Interior teams. They will be moved by the Ministry of Interior teams. And finally, all ballot boxes will reach the National Assembly carried by the Ministry of Interior teams.
Wonderful, Abdullah. Thank you so much for all your efforts tonight. We'll take a quick break and we'll be back.
Welcome back. We're still live coverage right here in our studio regarding the election of 2023. We are here in the studio with our distinguished, once again, Dr. Nasser Al-Hajwi. He's a political and economic expert. Dr. Nasser, welcome back.
Thank you.
Did you take a break? Take a breather?
It was a nice break.
That's good. Now, let's talk a little bit about the parliament and what are the challenges. We're not going to say challenges, but what about the aspiration of them? What about the aspiration of the citizens? What exactly we are waiting from them to achieve on the ground to have the ball rolling in all over the state of Kuwait? What exactly we need to do?
See, I think most of the people now are looking for the sustainability. As you already know, for the last few years, if not even more than that, the parliament has been dissolved several times, and there were a lot of conflicts at the parliament itself, and there was a lack of cooperation between the legislative authority and the executive authority. People are looking for a cooperation, a real cooperation between the two authorities to handle the next files, which can, as we said again, sustain the wealth of the country and also keep the lifestyle of people in a higher level. As I already told you, people are waiting and expecting a lot from the next MPs. We as new generations are looking for jobs. Infrastructure needs to be developed. Legislation of economy needs to be changed. The global economy is changing. And also you should understand that the global conflicts happening at the moment needs a lot of cooperation between the two authorities, between the legislative and the executive authorities. So the expectations are a lot, and we have a great hope on the next MPs and also on the next government, and that we can handle this, keep the lifestyle in a higher level, and also change the legislation that can improve our life.
You mentioned earlier before we break away about taxation.
Yes.
People in the state of Kuwait, they are not used to that. It's written in the Constitution, you have to be taxed, we know that. How you are going to let it down easy on them to make it easier to adapt this situation?
See, I'm not with the taxation on people, just not to be misunderstood. When I said about the taxation, I was talking about the taxation on the foreign companies who are doing projects here in Kuwait, and they are earning a lot of money, millions and billions of dinars. As you already know, we have a mega projects being handled and constructed by foreign companies, and they are not paying any tax. This is one of the things that I'm concerned about, is that this can be also another source of income. I'm not talking about the taxation on the people salaries or people incomes. As I already told you earlier, there is a high inflation, and also the prices of products are getting high. So we need to support people with their salary, not to be taxing them. This is my point. So the taxation that I meant was about the taxation on mega projects done by foreign companies who should be participating also on the society projects.
What about the private sector and their role in the state of Kuwait? How are you going to convince the parliament to be a partner with them? We know they are providing lots of jobs and here and there, but we'd love to have more from them. What do you think about that?
See, private sector is an important sector in every country. And also we have to understand that private sector is the ally of the government on handling part of the economically affording. For example, private sector should recruit Kuwaitis, should give them the training they need, and also should participate on developing. Like, for example, I'll give you an example which I noticed in some of the East Asia countries. Any company who has a project in any country, they are obligated to participate on doing something for the society. Either build a hospital, schools, roads on the city where they are working. So this is part of the participation from the private sector,
now,
which is not implemented here in Kuwait, by the way.
The parliament already in the past imposed some kind of legislative to enforce the private sector, to empower and to hire more Kuwaiti citizens. And in order for them to do that, they have some kind of intensive and incentive goals. Just like if you hire a certain amount of people, certain number of people, you will have some kind of advantage, something like that.
Yeah.
Do you think we need more of that?
Actually, we need more, and we need...
We're taking this from the point of view of the parliament.
We need more of that, and we need more of supervision on this one. Because as far as I know from my side, as a person who worked in the Kuwait Oil Company before, and also worked as a consultant, and also worked in a business sector, that most of the companies are not really given this a good attention. One of the things that we need to be implemented is the training of the Kuwaitis. Also, when you recruit or hire Kuwaitis, you need to make sure that you give them the right training, and you should develop their what do you call it? You develop their career. Kuwaitis are not finding this. They just been hired. They just been recruited in the companies, but they are not developed. They don't see it. Most of them, they are not getting the right training. So my belief is that there should be more and strict regulations against the companies who are not given this a big attention in their legislation.
Dr. Haji, no doubt the newly elected members of the National Assembly, they have kind of the challenges up ahead. They're going to win the election, there's no doubt. We're going to have 50 new faces, probably more, less of the percentage that we had before. Let's focus a little bit on the challenges. You mentioned that, about that you need to have some kind of, role, more newly things to have the revolution of the economy in the state of Kuwait. What exactly you need, as an advisor for them, what exactly you tell them to do this and not to do that, and not to copy in the past the bad experiences?
Let's not lose the hope of the democracy. As I told you, a lot of people, after seeing all the conflicts happening in the legislative authority, between the legislative authority and the executive authority, a lot of people lost the faith and the hope in the democracy of Kuwait, which is something we don't want it to happen. The democracy of Kuwait is something, it's 300 years old. It's not something recent. I mean, if you recall, the election of Sabah al-Awwal was done as an election. There was no war to lead Kuwait by the royal family of Kuwait, right? He's been elected by the society of Kuwaitis, right? So the election, the democracy in Kuwait was like 300 years old, and we want to keep this faith and hope on this authority as strong as it is. We don't want people lose this faith on them. We want them to focus on how to develop the country. We want them to focus on how to develop the status of life for people. We want them to focus and understand the global problems going on, and this stage needs more cooperation between the legislative authority and the executive authority. So these are the challenges. We want the sustainability. We want the sustainability of the parliament. We want to see the parliament stay for another 4 years instead of going for the election every 4, 5, 6 months, right? So this is part of the challenges that they need to handle. They need to focus on. They need to put it in their mind.
When we see the GCC countries, there are 6 of them, and they are some kind of one family, and we have a tight relationship with them. Our parliament makes sure that this relationship grows stronger and go to the next level. What about the economy and our sister states in the GCC? From the parliament, what exactly we need to enhance it?
See, in one of the interviews I've done in the past, I was saying the same idea, is that we are small countries in the GCC. I mean, without naming, but most of us are small countries compared to the size of other countries in the whole world, right? Unless we are cooperating and behave as one country, all under one umbrella, economic umbrella and the political umbrella, we won't be strong enough. Okay? So the parliament has to understand that our single economy is not effective enough on the global decisions unless we cooperate with all the GCC countries and we become as a one economy and one political view. Let's talk about this and become at one umbrella. In this case, if you look at Kuwait, UAE, Saudi Arabia, I'm just mentioning 3 out of 6. They are controlling not less than 45 to 50% of the oil reserve in the whole world. Can you imagine? Not less than 45% of the oil reserve in the whole world is only in these 3 countries. So can you imagine how effective they are, how strong they are, if they act as a one country, either politically or economically? So this is my advice when I say it in many interviews I have done in the past. I always say that all the GCC countries, they have to cooperate under one umbrella, under one economic business pattern, under one political business pattern, in order for them to be strong and their voice to be listened.
Dr. Hadi, stick around because I have a lot more to cover with you. I'm not done with you, but we have a report. Ladies and gentlemen, stick around. We have a lot more to come.
The Kuwait Transparency Society is a non-profit organization that works on a certain strategy aimed at reaching 3 main goals. First, to promote and disseminate values of transparency, integrity, and combating corruption through cooperation with the executive and legislative authorities, the media, and opinion leaders. Second, to strengthen the institutions of democratic governance ensuring the integrity of the electoral process and fair representation for all voters, proposing laws that enhance freedom of speech and belief and relegating political work with transparency and integrity, and third, to support and advocate for many important issues related to society, such as gender equality and female empowerment, youth empowerment, and children's protection and rights. The Kuwait Transparency Society has a chairman and a board of directors, which are responsible for all the decisions, strategies, and policies. The responsibilities are distributed to the members in addition to several committees that complement the board's work, such as the Values Committee and the Integrity and Governance Reinforcements Committee. In recent years, the Society has accomplished many achievements in the field of anti-corruption. That includes submitting a proposal for a law regarding the establishment of a central body for governance in the public sector, with the aim of increasing the level of transparency and disclosure in the government. The Kuwait Transparency Society, as a representative of the civil organizations in Kuwait, has formulated the National Anti-Corruption Strategy with the membership of 22 government agencies. In 2019-2020, the chairman of the board, Mr. Majid Lamtairi, represented the Kuwait Transparency Society as a member of the support team for the Transparency International 2020-2030 strategy to add the priorities of the Middle East and North Africa region among the priorities of the international movement. In further achievements, the Kuwait Transparency Society, in cooperation with the Public Authority for Anti-Corruption, Nazaha, has formed a team to follow up with the government's performance in dealing with the repercussions of the health crisis COVID-19, and this was the first civil society's initiative on local and regional level. The society has also participated as a representative of civil society in drafting the executive relegations of the right of access to information law within a team of governmental experts, and has contributed greatly to the improving the final format of the relegations in line with the international experiences in this regard. The society is now in the process of monitoring and the implementation, as well as training government agencies to implement the law in line with transparency and anti-corruption standards.
We're back and we're moving to the 5th constituency now. We have Mohammed Al-Anezi live there. Good evening, Mohammed.
Good evening, Basma.
Mohammed, please tell me the latest updates.
Certainly. The doors of the polling stations, of course, as we all know, in the National Assembly elections 2023 for the 17th legislative term closed earlier today at 8 p.m. and the vote counting process is currently underway. And the announcement of the official results will be held later on. The polling process lasted around 12 hours, starting from 8 a.m. in the morning, in 5 constituencies, to choose 50 members to represent the people in the National Assembly, from among 207 male and female candidates. In the 5th constituency, which is where I am, 47 male and female candidates were looking for the votes of their constituents, who numbered 256,755 votes. And this is the latest update that I have. Now back to you, Basma.
Thank you, Mohammed. This was Mohammed Al-Anezi from the 5th constituency. Now we're moving back to Ahmed Al-Wasmi.
Basma Al-Awadi, thank you so much. We're back here with Nasser Al-Haji. He is an expert in economy. We were talking about the people, and we're talking about taxation, we're talking about the GCC, and we're talking about the obstacles that might face the MPs as soon as they win the election. Let's talk about the people themselves. As far as the economy is concerned, people are, looking to improve their livelihood, their life, their income, their children. They want to see new jobs, they want to see new improved roads and etc., just like you mentioned. Let's go back, let's revisit this segment. What exactly the people in the state of Kuwait, from your perspective, their aspiration as far as the members and the economy?
See, the role on the people for this election is extremely important. The MPs are selected by the people themselves, and they are the responsible people for their generation's future. So you have to choose carefully who's the MP who's really representing you well on the parliament. You don't need to repeat the same mistake that you have done in the past. We should be careful on this one. On the election, make sure that you are selecting the person who really represent you, your mind, your future, and your children's future. This is not something, it's not a joke. It is a real thing that needs to be taken seriously. I regret some people who are repeating the same mistake by choosing people who've been in the parliament for a long time without adding a value to the parliament or to the society. That's number one. Today when I went to the polling stations, I saw a lot of people are encouraged to go for election, but I can guarantee that a lot of them are repeatedly selecting the same people who never added a value.
Now here lies the dilemma. We're not going forward.
We are not going anywhere.
We are standing still and we are accepting the status quo.
Again, you are voting for your children's future. You are voting for the future of your country. You are voting for the economic of your country. You are voting for the sustainability of your country. Again, as I said again, there is a big role needs to be done by the people by choosing the right people, qualified people. Kuwait has a lot of qualifieds, a lot of them, who didn't get a chance to be represented in the parliament, which is not fair. And this is actually the choice of the people themselves. And then later on, you see the people complaining, the parliament is not good, the government is not doing the right job. Well, you got the chance to select, but you lost it. And this is your mistake, which you should be blamed for it.
It's your own fault.
It is your own fault, which you should be blamed for. You shouldn't be blaming the MPs because you already the one who selected them. And again, the MPs, they are a reflection of the executive authority.
Yes.
Right? The strength of the executive authority is coming from the strength of the legislative authority. So if you look at it from your point of view or my point of view, you will find out that the key person or the focal point on all this election is the person who goes to the polling station and vote. He's the one who decides how is the image of our country in the future. So please, be careful. Choose the right person. It doesn't have to be.
They have a saying, be careful what you wish for. You might get it. This is exactly what's happening now. He's wishing for somebody, he's going to get it, whether good or bad. Now let's talk a little bit about the economic and also the Kuwait Stock Exchange, Borsa Kuwait, had gained recognition from the companies such as the Morgan Stanley, which listed our Borsa in its emerging market index with about $3.3 billion following the market. What is your reading about this and the importance of the economy field?
Well, that's number one, this is very important as an image of the country and the whole world. That's number one. Number two, don't forget that Kuwait is one of the very richest countries in the whole world. Number three, you should understand that Kuwait is classified on one of the top 5 or 6 wealthy countries in the whole world. So this classification, yes, it is very well recognized and also will add a value and also put a lot of responsibilities on the MPs. Are they expert to understand what is the economy? Are they expert to understand that this stock market recognition is extremely important for Kuwait on the future of Kuwait economy and also on the image of Kuwait in the whole world? So this takes you back again to the selection of people on the MPs. Are they really understanding the economy? Are they understanding the politics? Are they understanding educational challenges? Are they understanding what are needed to be done in the future for the community and the society? I have voted for you for the future of our generations. So you should be at least have the least qualification that can help you to handle these files in the future.
What about the women in the state of Kuwait?
Participation of women or men are the same from my point of view. Yes, I don't see any difference. Since they already have the right to vote and elect, then they are equal. The same responsibilities needed from the women are the same responsibilities needed from men. The same duties needed from women are the same duties needed from men. So there is no classification between the two. As long as you already have the right to vote and elect, then you are responsible. You have the same right. You've been looking for it for a decades, and now you got it. So you have to work along with the men in order to select the right people in the next parliament.
Honestly, Dr. Nasser Al-Hajri, it's a pleasure to have you. You enriched our segments here right
Thank you
here
so
at
much.
KTV2. Looking forward to see you once again.
Inshallah. Thank you so much, and wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. We have a report. We're not done. Stick around. Right after that, we'll come back to you.
With Kuwait imminently running for new National Assembly elections, the Kuwaiti government, headed by His Highness Sheikh Ahmed Nawaf Al-Ahmed Al-Sabah, may Allah protect him, showed great commitment to filling gaps or abuses that might affect the progress of the democratic process in the country. The Kuwaiti government, which took the constitutional oath on August 2nd, in conjunction with the issuance of the decree dissolving the National Assembly, took a number of firm decisions aimed at making the parliamentary elections transparent, stressing the keenness of the supreme political leadership to ensure this election is free from any legal tarnish or irregularities, as each constituency correctly expresses the will of its voters. Therefore, the princely speech that preceded the dissolution of the National Assembly, delivered by His Highness the Crown Prince, representing His Highness the Emir, carrying great implications of asking the people to make a good choice and achieving the contents of the speech, prevented the holding of secondary elections. The measures and decisions taken by the Kuwaiti government prior to the holding the National Assembly elections reflect a serious will on the part of the government for the electoral elections to be exceptional and based on integrity and transparency. For his part, His Highness the Crown Prince, may Allah protect him, pledged that the upcoming legislative elections would be followed by legal and political reforms to move the country to a new stage protected by discipline and rule of law.
And with the 17th legislative term of the National Assembly to build upon what has already been established by the vision of His Highness, the late Emir Sheikh Sabah Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah, may God rest his soul, to provide a better life for the future, everyone living in the great country, and building the already established status of the state of Kuwait as a regional economic and political state. This is the last of our updates. We hope that we informed you well and we kept you exactly where you need to go and where you need to know. Develop this. This is the KTV and this is the staff from all of us here, and this is the lovely Basma Al-Awadi.
Yes, I am. Thank you, everyone. I'd like to thank our correspondents for all their efforts. We thank you for tuning in and have a good night.
Bye-bye.